Praise to Yahawashi Law. Don't know what I'm going to title this, but it's just another lesson. Some of the things I've been meditating on this week, thinking about, So with me, I just do, I watch some YouTube videos, whatever the spirit comes on me. I watch some movies, just whatever I've been kind of thinking about, having conversations with other brothers about, I just, put it all together and make a video on wherever the spirit led me when combining those things. So this week I got into some way, somehow the spirit led me. I was watching Black Panther. Then that led me to watching the real Black Panthers, Judas and the Black Messiah. I was talking to my cousin about some things. We were bouncing some ideals off each other. And, I was watching some videos, Hebrew Israelite videos. So the thing that I've been blessed with is that not being in a cultish mindset, it leaves my mind open to receive the truth. Because I was once in like a cultish mindset. So I couldn't see things that I'm seeing now. And now that I'm seeing those things, I'm like, man, like, how did I miss that? Like, man, I really couldn't see that during that time. I really didn't, I'll read these 2, 3 verses. And then you got all these other verses down here that paints a whole different story. Like, how did I not see that? Because I always call myself trying to be 100% truthful. I guess I was 100% sincere, but I always try to be 100% truthful. But that's just the pains of growing in the truth, which a lot of men never come to realize, So I was watching a camp that was kind of debating a Christian on the highways and byways, and the Christian guy, he made some good points when it went to they were speaking about Matthew 5. And see, I always used to read Matthew 5. I used to get it from like verse 15 because I always wanted to get, let your light shine. People come up to us and their questions will be, what are you guys doing out here? Like, what is this? And we will always be like, okay, we'll get different scriptures. Maybe Daniel 12, we'll probably get Isaiah 61, the gospel, spreading the gospel. We'll get Ezekiel 37 for the 12 tribes chart. And then, we'll get, I'll always like throw Matthew 5 in there, but like, let your light shine. So that's what we're doing. That goes with Daniel 12. So it's like, we letting our light shine, this truth be heard, but Yahawashi is the ultimate light. So you might get John with chapter 1, 2. You see what I'm saying? At the same time. And, we'll always stop like the verse where it says, whoever should teach men these commandments should be the greatest and great in the kingdom. Whoever should teach not the commandments should be the least. We'll stop at that verse. But then the rest of the chapter kind of like cut with it, and me just being honest, just going on what the truth is. It gives credit more to what the Christians say, because what this guy was saying to them, he was saying that how Yahawashi had a law. And he was saying the law that is referring to is not the law of Moses. It's referring to Yahawashi law. So I started doing research on that. And I was just being 100% honest with myself. So I challenge brothers to do that. I challenge brothers to, just be honest with yourself. Well, this is what I learned. This is what they told me. So this is what it is. No matter what, you can't prove it no different. Just read it. Read these things for yourself and just see. And just try to be open and honest to yourself. So in Matthew 5, which I could go to it, right? And this is a controversy, and this left, and then I bring it up to another brother too, just to make sure it just wasn't me. You know what I mean? Right, just to make sure it wasn't me. And the brother said, hold up. The brother said, look, that's a problem, and we got to deal with it, right? Because I seen another Israelite that was, I guess a woman had asked him, about Deuteronomy, where Moses is saying that you could give. Now, this is the law. Now, from what I learned, we never looked at this as Moses was giving this to us. We looked at it as the Lord was giving us this law through Moses. Moses went on the mountain. and the witnesses was the children of Israel during that time. Israel was there during that time. They witnessed him go on the mountain. You see what I'm saying? So he had thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of witnesses, and he brung down this law to the Israelites. You see what I'm saying? Because they were afraid to go up there. So we never looked at it as like the whole Apostle Paul thing where, Apostle Paul, he'll give you some things from himself, and then he'll tell you the law, but then he'll say, but I'm telling you that you should probably do this. You see what I'm saying? That's different. When it comes to Moses, we don't look at it that way. We look at it like this law, what they call the law of Moses, is coming from Yahweh. You see what I'm saying? So now, with that type of understanding, when it clearly says, Moses say, you could write her a bill of divorce. And it says if she don't please you to dwell with, or she's not, or roughly in that, it says you could let her go, you could put her away, and you could write her a bill of divorce. Now, when you write her that bill of divorce, she could go and marry another man. Now this is a problem. Just be open with yourself. I'm not bullshitting. I know brothers fall out the truth and brothers be bullshitting and doing this, and you could clearly see some of the motives they got because they mad or this and that. I'm just giving it to you straight, bro. I mean, just it is what it is. You look at it yourself. So now when you look at that with Moses, which is damn, I forgot the chapter. It's in the book of Deuteronomy, so you're gonna have to look it up. I'm not trying to lose my place. I forgot the chapter. It might be Deuteronomy 20. It might be Deuteronomy 21. Let me see if I can find it. But in this verse, Matthew 15, Yahawashi is gonna speak on it anyways. So let me see if I can find it real quick. It might be Deuteronomy 19. Let me see. But it's like right in the beginning of the chapter. Let me just make sure. It's not Deuteronomy 22. Okay. Is it 28? Let me see. No, so you're gonna have to find it because I can't think of it off the top of my head. No, I definitely can't. Right, but it's in the law, right? Where Moses is saying that you could write a bill of divorce, but Yahawashi, he's gonna repeat that thing. But you gotta remember that. Okay. So this Deuteronomy chapter 24. Says verse 1, when a man has taken a wife and married her, and it comes to pass that she find no favor in his eyes because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it to her in her hand and send her out of his house. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife, right? She can't return back to the first husband when she gets her second husband. But this is the law. It say that she could go and she could be another man's wife. Now we use Matthew 5 to say not one tittle or one jot should pass from the law until all has been fulfilled. And we say that all has not been fulfilled. So if not one jot, that means that even Matthew 24, you have to follow that. And that includes, see, this is what brothers do. Brothers is keeping half of the law, but they're not keeping the whole law. They're doing this hybrid thing where they're trying to follow what Yahawashi said, but then they're trying to keep the law too. You can't have it both ways. And this is why you see sometime like Christians, Vocab Malone, what's the other dude, God Logic, and they be kicking some of the Israelites' ass, and that's just me being non-biased. You see what I'm saying? Just saying what it is. I watch it. I'm going for the Israelite dude. If he starts losing, I'm like, damn, this not looking good. Right? But this is why. Because you can't have it both ways. You either going to be like the Christians and you have to follow Yahawashi, Or you gonna be like the so-called Jewish, the small heads, and then you gonna say, I'm not dealing with the New Testament and I'm following the Torah, the Old Testament. But that doesn't mean that you don't believe in Yahawashi. You could believe in Yahawashi and say, well, the New Testament has been corrupted. It has certain things that are truthful in it, but it's been corrupted in certain parts. So I'm just gonna do away with all that. I still believe in Yahawashi. I just don't, because Yahawashi is not writing none of this. You see what I'm saying? This is people saying they heard these things. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference. Those things could be changed. You know what I mean? Just like, for example, Martin Luther King. They killed him. And then what was the message that they were sending around that they still teach in the schools to this day? That was his message at one point in time, but they don't teach you what he said before he died when he said, I believe I, led my people into a burning house. They don't teach you those parts. They just teach you the parts that they want to teach you. It could have been the same thing that was happening with Yahawashi. For us not to think that the Romans had agents, that the Romans didn't have control over Matthew. They didn't have control over these people to make them do what they wanted to do. And they had a gospel going around their kingdom that they had no control of. I mean, it's just, come on. We just don't see that. We just don't see that. That's why you don't really hear about Malcolm X. You don't really hear about Nat Turner being taught in these schools. It's always been this way. They gonna control the narrative. And it could be no difference from back then. So you could do that. Now me, I'm kind of still studying, trying to figure these things out. And I'm going to tell you why. Because now let's get in Matthew 5 what Yahawashi says. So we know where it says not one jot or one tittle shall pass from the law. That means even Matthew 24. That means actually a lawful way is that you could write her a bill of divorce, right? And she could go remarry another man. Now, if you say that Yahawashi is right, what they're saying Yahawashi said in Matthew 5 and Matthew, I believe, 19, then we got a big problem here, because now you saying that Moses was telling women to commit adultery, because Yahawashi says it's adultery. You can't have it both. Now watch this, Matthew 5, right? Let me get the verse because I want to get straight to the point. Verse 31. And it has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. So this kind of hit me because I'm like, okay, Yahawashi is saying, what did it say in the law? Okay, it said this, right? But then he's saying, but I say unto you. Now that sounds like somebody that's changing something. And this is 100% a change. This is not and this is what brothers will say. They'll say, Yahawashi expounded on that. No, this is not him expounding or clearing. Expounding is you got to keep the Sabbath day. And then Yahawashi come and say, no, you got to keep the Sabbath day on the seventh day. That's expounding. He's still saying you got to keep the Sabbath day. He's still in agreement with that. But now he's giving you more context. Okay, but you got to keep it on the seventh day. That's expounding. This is not expounding. This is 100% literally changing. This is a change. Now he says, but I say unto you. So he's saying, look, yeah, it was said during that time, but this is what I say unto you. Right? This is a change. He said that whosoever shall put away his wife saving for the cause of fornication. Now you could go back to Deuteronomy 24 and say, well, the uncleanness is the same as the fornication. You could try to spin that way. It says, cause her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. But this is the problem. Moses' law is saying that you could write her a bill of divorcement and then she could go remarry, and the next dude that gets with her, he is not a adulterer. But Yahawashi is saying whosoever shall marry her that is divorced is a adulterer. That's a complete change and complete difference. It's no way around. I don't care who your leader is, who you look up to, how long you've been. There's no way around that. One is saying that you could write her a bill of divorce, she could remarry, and that's not adultery because you wrote her a bill of divorce. The other one is saying that if you marry the woman that is the man that comes, the second husband that comes and marry the woman that's been divorced, you are committing adultery. It's just no way around it, bro. It's to me, it's no way around it from what I've seen. And it forces you, like Yahawashi, but I say unto you. Now it's forcing you, you either gonna keep the Torah or you going, or there's a new law. There's a law, Yahawashi law. Just like there was a Noahic law during the time of Noah. Then you had the law during the time of Adam. And then you had the law during the time of Moses. And it's different laws because we see that our grandfather Jacob, he had two wives that were sisters. Now we see in Moses' law, you're not supposed to do that. So we're seeing a different type of laws from different type, and we've seen the laws things being changed. So it's not too far-fetched to say that yes, Yahawashi came with a new law, and this is what the Christians say. And they got a point on that. They have a point on that as far as Yahawashi did come to the law. Now brothers would say, oh, well, the laws, he quoting out the same laws. Just because you have similar laws or you have the same laws doesn't mean, when I say the law, I'm talking about the fullness of the law. When you change something, it's something different now, the fullness of it. You say, well, maybe he made an amendment to it and changed this part and changed that part. But now it's a whole different law. You have the law of Moses. Now you have the law of Yahawashi, even though they're the same, because even the law of Moses and the law of Noah, during Noah's time, they had the same laws. They had same laws, but they had differences. But they had a lot of the same laws. So you can't try to use that like brothers do. Now this brings me back to the camp. The Christians told him, he said, look, your son, if your son was being obedient, do you have a son that's being obedient to you? The brother answered, he said, yeah, my son right here. He's at camp with him. He said, hell yeah, he's been disobedient. Right. And the guy and the Christian got him on that because he was talking about we got to keep the law. And the Christian was saying, yeah, we got to keep the law. I agree. But what law? The law of Yahawashi. And they was like, no, we got to keep the law of Moses. And then he went to Matthew 5. And of course, he stopped at verse 20. And he didn't keep reading verse 21 through 33, where Yahawashi goes on. He's naming all these laws. And then he's saying, but I say unto you, which is clear him saying, okay, that's what it said. But this is what I'm saying now. Now, Yahawashi may have authority to do that, but we got to deal with it though. You can't have it both ways. And this is going to get even deeper. And I'm going to tell you why. This is how, I'm so deep with this. So I'm going to show you how. Right now, the Christian said, like, well, if he's a disobedient son, you're supposed to stone him. And the brother said no. Right? And then he went, well, because I believe in the birth of Jesus Christ, the death, burial. Right. And if you believe that, then you have to follow what so now you're already admitting, well, you're following what he said. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to mix them together, and you can't have it both ways. Now, another brother hopped in. He was like, well, we don't have our land. We're going to keep those laws. We're going to keep all of it once we get in our land. We can't do that in America. This is the problem. Now, this leads me to the picture that's on the screen, which is a picture of the pyramids in Egypt. Right? Because when Moses was given this law, they were not in the land. They were required to start keeping this law in the wilderness. They were not in the land. So you cannot use we are not in our land argument, because they were not in the land. They were in the wilderness because Moses never made it to the land. They went back to the land during the time of Joshua. So that's a problem right there. Then, right, you can't keep the law of Moses. And I always felt this when I first came into truth. Wait, the law of Moses is not just, matter of fact, let's go back to it. Deuteronomy 21. That's what they have brought up. The law of Moses is not just, if your wife commits adultery on you, you could just do what you want to do with her. No, that's not. The law of Moses tells you. As a matter of fact, let me get that example that they were talking about with the son. That's Deuteronomy 21. Let me find what verse. You got to keep all of it. That's why it's here and telling us. It don't just say, oh, she committed adultery on you, let her go. Or if you got a disobeying child, right? So this is Deuteronomy 21. I think it's here at the end. Verse 18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, that when they have cleansed him, would not hearken unto him, then shall the father, no, it says, then shall the father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him into the elders of the city and into the gate of the place. And they shall say unto the elders of the city, this is our son, is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is gloated and a drunken. And all the men of the city shall stone him with stones. It says they shall stone him with stones that he die. So shall thou put evil away from among you. And then it's even giving us the reason why it has to happen. It's saying you have to do this so you could put evil away from among you. If you just decide not to do it, then you're not putting the evil from among you. And you see that going on with these YNs today in the streets, man. A lot of them would have been stoned because they're rebellious, man, and fear, right? So this is the problem. And then what brothers run to is say, well, we got Yahawashi and we're under grace now. But you can't have it both ways. You can't put the law over brothers, say you have to keep this law, but then you can wig all of it and say, well, we don't have to keep that part of it because Yahawashi. No, it's if we're under grace and we don't have to keep the putting him to death part because of Yahawashi, then it's the same thing for all of them. But what replaces that is Yahawashi, what Yahawashi told you to do. You have to follow Yahawashi and what he told you to do. And the record of what he told you to do is right here in the Bible. And you read that and you do those things that he told you to do. The other things, you obviously ain't got to worry about it right now because he didn't tell you to do it, like the sacrificial law, all those things, right? So you do what Yahawashi told you to do. So that's the problem. That's always been a problem for me because I understand how law works. You have to have the punishment factor of the law for it to work. If you take out the punishment factor, you throw away, you have to throw away all of Moses' law because it would not work. It's the same thing with the Shia law. The Shia law works in Saudi Arabia because of the punishment behind it, the fear of the punishment behind it. Without the punishment part, you cannot have a law because that's the enforcement of the law. Same thing with Esau in America, right? They still have death penalty around. They have jails around because they have to have the punishment part. What is a law without the punishment part? It basically don't exist. And this is the problem. You guys know that we can't keep those punishment parts. So you come up with excuses for not. Because you know that in order for us to keep the full law, which it is possible, you have to, because there's men that did, you have to do what none of these guys want to do, because these guys are focused on the American dollar, money, social media, fame. You have to come up out of America. Now, I'm not saying flee Babylon doctrine. You don't necessarily have to leave America to come up out of America, but you may have to go into the wilderness the same way the Israelites during the time of Moses went into the wilderness. They gave us the blueprint of how to get out of slavery, because you can't keep this law while you're under another law. We all can run around playing big and bad on the internet, but guess what? Y'all still follow Esau law. And Esau law is the highest law that's over us, because Esau law contradicts Moses law. It doesn't allow you to have the punishment part of what Moses law, which is coming from Yahweh, is telling us to do. You see the bullshit there? You can't keep it fully. And the only reason why you can't keep it fully is because you have another law that's over you, which is Esau's law, America's law. So it's the same thing with our ancestors. They couldn't keep the law fully in the land of Egypt because they had an Egyptian law over them. So that's why they were pleading and asking that they could go into the wilderness to worship their Lord. When they said go into the wilderness to worship their Lord, it wasn't just talking about, well, praying to the Lord and, professing the Lord to be your Lord. No, it was talking about they're going to go into the wilderness and follow their Lord commandments, which is exactly what happened. They got these commandments and they were having to start to convert and follow these even in the wilderness before they got back to the land. So that's what it would take for us to actually follow this law. But these guys don't want to do it, because for a lot of these guys, this stuff is business. It's getting fame, it's getting money, what the bam. They don't really want to leave America and go into the wooden. They don't want to do that. That's too hard. They'd rather just, work for the American dollar, and become an Israelite, throughout the day or on the weekends. You see what I'm saying? So And then that brings me back to the Black Panthers, because what the Black Panthers try to do is they try to fight. But that's the problem, is that you can't fight against something that's more advanced than you. You know, Esau's more, he has his law. He's more advanced. He has more advanced technology. He has more unity. So you can't fight against that, or you're going to end up exactly how the Black Panthers ended. So what's your other option? Your other option is you have to leave. And then that brought me to, you know, when I watched the movie Wakanda, Black Panther, you know, which was pretty much a play off the Bible, because, you know, Hollywood goes back to the small hats and they make these movies based on, you know, biblical things, you know. Which, you know, Wakanda was pretty much just a advanced civilization, a hidden civilization, which is the same thing that basically Moses and the Israelites did. It's the same as I think. They went into the wilderness, right? Wasn't technically Wakanda would be considered, it was in the wilderness of Africa. You know, it was hidden, where they were able to advance, and they advanced based on what? The law, statutes, and commandments. And then Moses didn't make it back to the land, but during the time of Joshua, they were advanced and they was unified enough, and they were able to go back into the land. And the biggest thing about that was that they were unified with the Lord. So then they were able to go back into the land, and they were able to conquer, you know, those different cities in Jericho, you know, and they were able to conquer those different cities because they had the Lord behind them once Joshua and them were told to go back into the land, which is the same thing as the first Black Panther. It's just a civilization basically portraying the Israelites out in the wilderness when the Lord comes and he gives us these advanced technologies and stuff like that. And then we're able to come back. If you take the Killmonger route, we're able to come back once we're advanced enough to put up a big enough fight. And then we're able to come back and actually fight against Esau and destroy him, which is exactly what's going to happen if you understand the prophecies of the Bible anyways. But the problem is brothers feel like we got to wait on the Lord, but the Bible tells us that the Lord waiting on us. You know, the children of Israel during the time of Egypt, they had to come out. The Lord, now we had a Passover, and the Lord, you know, he smite the firstborn and everything, but they still had to come together themselves, and they had to leave themselves. They had instructions to do it, which we got instructions to do it too. We got the examples. And they actually had to leave. And then when they went into the wilderness, that's when they met the Lord on the mountain. That's when the Lord was there to assist them. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same thing over again. It's right in front of our faces. If you want freedom as a people and you want to get from under Esau, the answer of what to do and how to do it is right there in the Bible. It's literally the story of Moses and the Israelites during the time of Egypt. The story of Exodus is literally right there in front of us. That's the answer. That's exactly what we have to do. As long as we don't do that, guess what? We're going to be in captivity. That's Esau's biggest fear. You see what I'm saying? Like when you watch the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, at the end, the guy Fred, I think his real name was William O'Neill, right? He tried to set up Fred Hampton. He tried to set up, Fred Hampton. He brung the car and it was full of explosives in the back of the trunk. And he had a wire on it, and he was like pretty much telling them like, man, we need to go hit back. But what Fred didn't say, Fred said, are you crazy? Because if we go blow them up, they just gonna come back and blow us up. You see what I'm saying? Esau wants you to try to pick up guns and come together and fight. That's what he wants you to do. Because his thing is to eliminate, during that time, they said eliminate a black messiah or a black militant group. That's their biggest fear to America. Number one, they had COINTELPRO, and they was labeled America's number one enemy, internal enemy. The Black Panther group was more feared by the U.S. government than Martin Luther King, than Malcolm X. You see, but they try to downplay it, right? In Chicago, they try to downplay it. Like, you know, you hear about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. That shit had nothing on what the Black Panthers was doing. That was the biggest threat that America has seen internally. And they even said that because that's what they fear, a black messiah and a black militant group. But they want you to fight against them because they know they got more advanced technology than you. They got more weapons. They got more firepower than you. They want you to do that because they want to identify the leaders and eliminate the leaders. The same thing they did with the Black Panther group. The same thing they did when they took out Martin Luther King. The same thing they did with Malcolm X. The same thing they did with One West Hebrew Israelites. That's what they do. They identify, they conquer, they divide and conquer, they take you out. If they can't discredit you, if they can't split you up and divide and conquer you, the next thing they're gonna do is kill you. Right? Because they was trying to get Fred Hampton in different ways. They were trying to put stuff on his name and discredit him, but he was just so, the dude said that he was, he was dedicated. He didn't drink or nothing like that. He wasn't tricking off. He was just so dedicated that they could never get nothing on him. So eventually they had to kill him. And prison wasn't going to be enough because he was only going to go to prison, I think, for like 2 or 5 years. And he was actually going to be more powerful behind in prison than he was on the streets, they said. So it just wasn't enough. They had to kill him. But Esau is afraid of one slipping by. You get a black leader that could bring the people together like Moses, right? That slips by their fingers, that they don't see, they want to be able to identify and eliminate. So with Yahawashi, same thing. They were able to identify with Judas setting him up. And then that's where the crucifixion came. They were able to eliminate. What we getting is, we not getting the full story of everything. It said it was many things and works of Yahawashi that is not listed in the Bible. We not getting the full picture of what things were like during his time and how things happened, because there's lies and there's hidden things behind the scenes that the Romans was doing that is not being exposed. The same way you have the U.S. government doing those things to this day. And they just call them conspiracies, right? So you don't have the firepower, even though technology is getting so much more advanced, right? So they pretty much damn near following their own sword. You got drones now. So back then, the Black Panther group, they had to fight with just guns to guns. But now, shit, you can get your own drone. So now you can have your own air firepower, but Esau gonna have jets and missiles, and he gonna take it as far as it needs to take for him to eliminate you. Because their way of life is gonna be threatened, and they don't want that. You see what I'm saying? So that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of a group of Israelites, blacks and browns, breaking away from the system, because they understand once we break away from the system, we won't be oppressed anymore, and we'll be able to grow and spread our wings and be as great as we could be. And then when we return, they're afraid of us getting revenge on them. That's what they're afraid of, which is going to happen because that's biblical prophecy, is that we should go into the wilderness. The Lord going to have us pass under the bond. He's going to destroy the rebels. And, from the wilderness, you could say that we're going to be taken up into the air. We're going to be changed. We're going to be given power. And then what's going to happen? We're going to come back down to earth, and we're going to conquer them, and we're going to get our vengeance. And then we're going to set up a kingdom. That's what Esau's scared of. So Esau would easily, he would love to set up agents, divide and conquer One West, and then set up agents as the leaders of these different camps and have them constantly keep us in a delusion, constantly have us camp banging against each other, constantly having us talk about this camp, and then this camp come back and talk about that camp, and then this camp, and that's an everyday thing and an every week thing. And then when shit starts to get low, Esau putting his boot on their neck. Hey, I gotta keep working. Okay, now come out and then expose some dudes and say this guy was an agent, and say that guy was an agent. The whole time they the agent. I always say this: Esau is not going to send an agent that's just some random dude just trying to learn the truth. Why would he? That's a waste of his time. He's going to send the agents is going to be a part of the leadership. Now, I understand during the Black Panthers time, they sent William O'Neill, and he told them, look, just go try to join the Black Panthers. They're recruiting. So that's what people are thinking today. Like, okay, well, that's how they're going to send them, because we're recruiting and they're going to send an agent, and an agent's going to come in. Well, no, we're way past that now. This thing started in the One West Hebrew Israelites. This thing started in the 60s. They already done that. They don't have to do that anymore today. See, this how I know I be dealing with a lot of like little kids in the truth. These guys don't really have no real world experience. They not. You can't just, it's not just about reading the Bible. You have to have the spirit. You have to have knowledge and wisdom that comes from experience, man. And that's how I know I be dealing with a lot of guys that really don't have no world experience. They just read the Bible and they follow their leader and then they get in a position and they think they something, right? But this is the problem. You don't even understand how things work, man. This been going on. This One West thing been around since the 60s. The infiltration has already happened. It's not, they don't need to keep sending new members, new guys. Hey, can I join your group? And whole time he's an agent and he's working and he's trying to infiltrate. They don't have to do that no more. They already done that. It's been decades. They've been done that. So now the guys that they sent back in the 60s to join the camps that was agents are now turned to the leaders of these different camps now. They already worked their way up the ranks and became leaders. They're a part of the leadership. So I won't be surprised when all hell break loose that you're going to see some of your favorite leaders that are actually agents the whole time. And their job is to distract us, keep us in a cult-like mindset, and keep us from doing what Moses in the story of Exodus, what the Israelites did, leaving Egypt. That's their job. Don't let them come together and give up on this system. Don't let them do what I believe it's Acts chapter 2 or 3. Acts chapter 2 at the end. Don't let them do that. Whatever you do, hey, yeah, go with the Hebrew Israelite thing. Tell them that they the Israelites, because the cat's out the bag already. They can't hide that no more. It's just already out. The knowledge is out there. So, okay, feed them with that so they'll come to you, because the Christian church is whacked out. You know, they already knew they been infiltrated the Christian churches, and they always infiltrate with who? The pastors. See, Esau wants to control the leadership, not just some little dude that's a affiliate. That shit sounded so stupid to me when they was trying to put that shit on me. I was like, come on, bro. This don't make no fucking sense. But then I realized, I said, okay, so the dudes that was saying that I might be an agent, those are the real agents. That's the reason why they saying that. To keep the attention away from them. To point the finger at somebody else. It's the same thing that William O'Neill did in the movie Judas and the Black Messiah. He did that. Because how the fuck, if I'm coming down to a camp, we have some disagreements, I leave and I go to Springfield for, I don't even know, how long was I on the highways and byways in Springfield? Years. I go on Springfield while I'm away from all different type of camps, and I'm out on the highways and byways teaching the truth every week, going as hard as I could be. What type of agent work is that? Agents need to be around the organization that they're trying to. That shit sounds stupid, bruh. Shit sounds stupid. But then I realize, okay, so the dudes is pointing the fingers, those are the real agents. That's how it always is, man. I used to watch Scooby-Doo and shit when I was young, bro. That's who you gotta pull the mask off their ass and reveal who they really are, bro. So that's what I believe is going on. That's why I believe we're still divided. That's why after 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you don't see, you never really see like Israelite camps merge into one and brothers come together and say, hey man, fuck that camp name, that camp bang shit, we won. Yeah, we won together. Let's merge. You don't never see that because the leaderships are set up to keep us divided and conquered. You know, if two camps start to merge together and it look like they gonna start coming together, you're gonna see all these other camps and the other ages come out and say, oh, y'all merging together? Y'all unifying? Oh, that's wicked. You see what I'm saying? Because they're set up to do that, man. And that's 100% what I believe, because they don't want us to wake up and do what we need to do to get the fuck up out of here. That's Esau's fear. Because he know how great of a people we is. And without him having that boot on our neck, if we leave and go into the wilderness, he know without them having that boot on our neck, he know how great we gonna be. And that's what they're afraid of. And they're afraid of it. They want us in their cities where they could oppress us and keep that boot on our neck. If you in a city, that's where they could pull you over. You know, most people, that's how most people get caught with shit, is you in a car. You in a car, That's how a lot of my guys end up going to jail. Is it always happens they got pulled over. It's always a traffic stop. If you're doing some illegal shit, you need to figure out a way not to be driving and do that, because that's how they get you. They pull you over. They pull you over. They search the car. They get a warrant. They go search your house. They pull you over. They find you doing some shit. That's how it always happens. It's traffic stops. But you want to know what? That happens in the cities. In the cities, they could pull you over and give you a ticket. In the cities, they could harass you every time you leave the house, pull you over, figure out where you live, and all that shit. They could harass you and have power over you like that in the cities, because it's a trap. It's literally a box. When you in the city and you in that metropolitan area, you in a box. You in that system. They control that system. They know. They do drills. I remember in Springfield, we used to see, like, every year the police would do drills where you would see 100 police cars, and they'll all be flying down the highway. Veterans, they all be flying down. You'd be like, what the fuck are they doing? And they're doing drills. So they have the city drilled out. They know what to do if this happened in the city, if that happened in the city, if blacks come together and they end up fighting in the city. Well, we know how to corner them over here. We know how to go over here. We know how to stop a crowd. We know we got the drones over here, and they got drones and shit now. We know where the blacks are located at. We know where the Mexicans are located at. We know where the whites are located at in the city. We know where the drug dealing goes on at the city. We know where the the old people live at in the city. They have the city mapped out, man, and controlled. They know how to shut down the city. They know how to stop all traffic from being able to flow around the city if they needed to, if it was an emergency. They have those things. They drill and do those things. You see what I'm saying? So you got to leave out. It's just like during the time in Egypt. You got to leave out, bro. Everything is infiltrated. You going on the highways and byways and you trying to teach the truth, and you trying to compel brothers to come in, but you don't even know your organization is really being ran by a fucking agent. See, where during the time of Egypt was that the call? Oh, let's go out on the highways and byways, and we just gonna teach on the highways and byways until the end comes. No, they actually had an action. They had something they had to do. They had to leave. They had to come together and leave. We come together and leave. Whoever gonna go, the Lord gonna put it on their spirit to go. They gonna go. They gonna know. That's where you put your faith in the Lord at. Whoever's supposed to go, they gonna know. It's gonna be in their spirit, and they gonna go with us. And the Lord gonna be there with us. That's where you gotta have the faith that the Lord gonna be there with us. Or we just gonna continue being here doing the same thing we're doing for years and years and years and years and years until a movement comes around and then they try to do that. But that's what Esau fears the most. He don't fear you trying. Man, I'm cooking right now. These videos getting longer because usually my video is like 15 minutes. I keep it short. Esau don't. This is the spirit though. Esau don't fear you making a whole bunch of money like Jay-Z and Beyonce and becoming famous and you economically waging war on Esau. He don't fear that because like all the money Jay-Z got, guess who owned that money? He don't own that money. He's allowed to use it. He's given permission to use it, but he don't own it. The people who faces on the money own the money. Esau owns that money. That's what you don't understand. All the money that you got in your pocket, all the money you got in your bank, you don't own that money. That money belongs to the Federal Reserve, and that money belongs to the rich banker families that really own that money. So you can't beat them economically. You can't do it because it's their system, their money, their laws. You're always going to fail. Kanye, look where Kanye West got. He tried to beat them that way, and he couldn't. And he can't, and he would never. How could you go from being worth $6 billion one day, and a week or a month later, you're worth $600 million? How? That means they control your worth, bro. They control your business. And when Kanye West opens up a business, he has to get an LLC or a corporation, basically a business license. He has to get a business license. He has to get approval to operate that business, and he has to pay taxes on it. To who? Esau. So you can't do it economically. We all finna get rich, and we going, do what, we gonna be rich in America. No, they gonna always kick you down, knock you down. If you start to get, if it gets out of hand too much, and all black people are having money, and and it's evening up and they getting richer than white folks, they just gonna do a fucking a national event or a false flag attack and shut it all down and you know, and change it to whatever they want it to do. You know, so you can't do that. You can't all come together and get weapons and fight. You can't do that because you're outpowered. We're outpowered worse than the Native Americans was. The Native Americans had bow and arrows. Esau had one-shot guns that they had to reload, and they still beat them. And the Native Americans lost. How even much more we're outpowered. The gap has widened. Esau got shit that look like UFOs, man. He got drones and shit that could do crazy shit. We ain't got that shit. He got robots and shit. He got different technology, night vision glasses, shit that could see through walls. He got missiles and shit where you could be fucking under concrete in a bunker. He got bunker busting missiles that bitch come through the bunker and kill you. It'll come through all the concrete. It'll blast through it and still hit you and kill you. He got supersonic missiles that you won't even see that motherfucker coming. That's how fast. You just hear a noise, a whistle in the sky. Next thing you know, everybody's dead. And in the stream, he got nuclear missiles. He got EMP attacks. You can have all your electronics. You can have your little drone. You know, I got an army. I got a fleet of drones. So when you fight against Esau, I'm going to put my drones in the air and I'm going to have air support. Man, he'll do an EMP attack and cut off all your electric. You ain't got no electric to nothing. Your cars, nothing. No more. Now you just guerrilla warfare, and you know he gonna take you out because they gonna keep coming, keep coming. Y'all ever play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas? You know, when you fighting the police and then you getting stars and stars, they just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming and keep coming until you dead. It remind me of like Call of Duty Black Ops 2 with the zombies. That was my favorite one. You know, you gonna keep killing them, but you gonna keep going round by round. They just gonna keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. You might get to round 99. They just gonna keep coming, keep coming, keep coming until you're finished. You know what I mean? Because when you go to war, you want to have the advantage. So they going to send people to infiltrate you. Are you going to send people to infiltrate the CIA? Are you going to send people to infiltrate the FBI? Are you going to send people to infiltrate the military complex? That's what it's going to take in order for you to go to war. Then you're going to have people infiltrating them and the inside of them doing things to go to war with them, because that's what they're going to do to you. So it's impossible. You can't do it. But, you know, then some might say, well, shit, how you going to leave? Because they're going to infiltrate that if you try to leave. Well, the Lord going to be there. How did the Egyptians lead? I mean, how did the Israelites lead the Egyptians? You don't think that the Egyptians had eyes on them? You don't think the Egyptians knew that they was going to leave? But the Lord was there to meet us in the wilderness. That was the difference. The Lord want us to come to see. That's the test. Are they willing to come out of this place? This place greater than Egypt. This is the greatest country ever the earth has ever seen. The most richest country that earth has ever seen. Are they willing to leave all that for me? Are they willing to take a chance and leave that and go into the wilderness for me? That's the test that we fell in. Are they willing? Brothers be, man, you could leave. You could leave if you want to. I'm not leaving America. Man, we know why. We know why your ass not leaving, man. You love America. You love that dollar. You live under that dollar. All of us are slaves to America. You got a social security number. You got an inmate number. you live under that American dollar. You are a slave to America. You are the property of America. If you go to Saudi Arabia and you do some shit, guess what? They're going to extradite your ass back to America. Or they going to punish you. And then after they punish you, they're going to send you back to who owns you, your owner, your slave master. He's an American. They're going to send you back to America. That's where you need to go. They're going to kick you out their country and send you back to your slave plantation, America. You see what I'm saying? So just some of the deep things that we was thinking about. But just to wrap it up, you know, like, you can't keep both. You either going to keep what Yahawashi said or you're going to keep Moses' law. You can't keep Moses' law unless you keep all of it. So that's why I say you should go with Yahawashi, because you have more freedom and you have that grace in that, because you can't keep Moses' law. In order to keep Moses' law, you got to keep the whole law. You can't take out the parts you don't like or the parts that's hard to keep, because Esau has a law over you. Right? So you got to make that choice, you know. So with that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom.